U/Broadway96 AskReddit. What's a company secret you can share now that you don't work there?
Welcome to
AutoGenLabs.
Daily Reddit content.
By robots.
For the internet.
They're out of business now, but in the early 90s I worked at Radio Shack for a year and a half. When people would return an item because it didn't work, the manager of the store would just box it back up and sell it again as if it were new. When I asked him about it, he said hopefully they will return it to a different store. I nearly got fired when I refused to sell a guy a walkie-talkie CB radio that I knew didn't work. The guy was on his way out for a hunting trip and was buying 3 of these for him and his friends. We had 2 and the third was the broken one. In front of the customer, I told the manager that one didn't work and I had tested it. The guy was happy I told him. We arranged for him to get the last one he needed at a different store and off he went. The manager was livid with me and nearly fired me. I'm sorry, I'm not sending people out into the forest with gear I know doesn't work. Hilariously, a few months later the manager was caught stealing from the store and got fired. *Edit well, I didn't expect this to blow up like this. It's pretty funny my heist. Upvoted comment is about my beat pass job.
Government-funded refugee advocacy agencies at a time were approving a disproportionate amount of young women 18-25 from Syria and Iraq with beep assault history for their services. Upon further investigation, I and my team discovered consultants from said agency were engaging in beep relationships with these girls. They were denying them opportunities of employment to keep them in financial destitution purposely. When the girls became desperate, the offer of private prostitution was made by the consultants. I whistled blew to the organisation heads. They thanked me and the consultants were gone the next day. Huge meeting with senior board. Apologies, this isn't the way we do things. Speech blah blah blah. On paper it looks coincidental. In reality we were all individually pushed out. 2 of the consultants that we uncovered were doing the worst were not fired. They were given the option to resign or not. Currently working at other agencies with vulnerable young women.
As a major insurance company I wrote software for was very big on security. If we needed to make an update, we weren't allowed to remote into the server even though you physically could asterisk. It was just against policy. To make an update, you had to put your changes onto portable storage, show your ID to the security guy, use your key to open the door, get escorted to this server, then they'd observe you via cameras. The login? The password? Blank. Literally no password.
If you don't hear music when you're supposedly on hold, the operator simply muted their mic and can still hear you. I've heard interesting and damning things while they thought I couldn't hear them.
Worked in insurance, hundreds of people have access to your SSN with no security clearance or background check.
The secret ingredient of Jimmy John's tuna salad is soy sauce. Edit Kickom and soy sauce specifically. And yes, beep the owner for what he does to animals.
Maple sap can be trucked in from other states and where it's turned from sap to syrup decides on the state it comes from, not the location of the trees.
The difference between the high-quality deli meat sold at M&S and the regular deli meat sold at other grocery stores is that we changed the label. We would literally stop the production line, wait for the guy who ran the label machine to swap them out, and then start it back up again.
Arby's manager replaced the expiration stickers on the bread with new ones. I guess so, the bread would last longer that way. I threw out 100 bus pizzas with green fuzz on them after checking the manager's work.
Used to work at a graphic design firm. All our Adobe software was prorated.
Worked as a major cable/ISP and therefore billing cycles. They upgraded the billing system, but did something wrong but the current cycle got a late charge. But instead of fixing it immediately, we were told to credit their account if the customer called in. I did the math, and for the size of our city, and the 3/4 of people wrongly charged, it was over $1 million USD. Most people just pay their bill and don't look to close.
Ice manufacturing, my shift manager dropped a 7-gram bag of beep in a bag of ice. It went out for delivery. No one ever phoned in to complain though.
I worked for a large construction company and the sales guys would intentionally omit items from contracts because they received incentives for what would then become a change order. Me, you forgot to include any framing in this contract, sales weasel. Oh, I guess it's a change order then. * customer cries.
I worked as a dog groomer for summer. We gave your dog a treat even if they weren't good.
One of our best restaurants in my town is locally famous and everyone goes there. They say everything is homemade. The thing they are famous for is the hot beef sandwiches with homemade potatoes and gravy. And the fish fry. The fish fry they also have during the week listed as an entree called the cod platter. It is instant Cisco brand gravy mix and instant Cisco mashed potatoes. The cod is only fresh and fried on Fridays. If you order it during the week it is frozen breaded Cisco fish fillets aka blend of random fish shaped into a stick.
In the United States,
One company's bread and butter was simply reboxing and relabeling computer monitors from China to make it seem like they were from the company and made/assembled in some way by them.
Everyone's favourite sauce that people wanted the recipe for was mostly mayonnaise. Sure, it was cold creamy pineapple sauce, but it's just pineapple salsa and mayonnaise.
I used to work for a rural ISP. We had one access point with 13 customers, but only 12 IP addresses provisioned. This means only 12 out of 13 people could be online at any one time. Anytime a customer called from that service area, we'd log in and reboot the tower's radios, kicking everyone offline to force DHCP renewals. It always meant whomever was calling in was able to get an IP and get online, but we knew that if all 13 customers wanted to be online at once, we wouldn't be able to service them. I brought it up with management, but they deemed it too expensive to address. I explained that it made us look like a fly-by-night shady as beep outfit. Since it was a rural ISB, I knew I'm not just talking to one person either, I'm talking to him, his wife, dog, kids, priest and 5 buddies from the coffee shop. Make a bad impression on one person and you might as well take out an ad in the local paper calling the whole town assholes. I handed out a lot of free months of service working there and would often make the point credits on revenue for justifiability angry customers. Edits to answer the questions, /not Comcast, Frontier nor the one you're about to ask, but they are good guesses. /yes it would have been an easy fix, but the GM was an accountant and cheap. /this was one of our apps. We had 10,000 customers, not 13. Some AP access points had 80 subscribers connected to it, some had fewer. The larger AP were properly provisioned with more than enough addresses. This is a one-off tile, but it was always our shame.
I used to work surveillance at a casino. From something like 3 stores high ceiling, we could zoom in on money on the table games and read the serial numbers of the bills. We could see the pips and the dice. Policy was to not look down blouses.
Movie theatres don't make money off the tickets, they make money off the food and drinks. Despite this, 99.9% of theatre staff give less than 0 beep if you sneak food in. All we ask is that you're subtle enough that we don't get yelled at by the 0.1% who cared.
Hotels do not typically have security, maintenance or housekeeping on staff 24/7. Once housekeeping finishes cleaning all the rooms, the entire staff leaves except for one front desk employee.
Ice machines are disgusting inside, full of slime.
I worked for a restoration company. One time an elderly woman called them to clean her house. She was a hoarder or there had been a fire. I can't remember. Anyway, the company charged $57,000 for the work to be done, but in actuality they couldn't even get the charges to add up to $20 ask. She couldn't file this on her insurance. There are other examples of gross overcharging, but this is the worst I know of that wasn't on a large loss side. The lesson here, if you have water, fire, mold, or hoarder damage and call in a company to clean it up, go through every line item on the invoice. Every single one.
Your luggage at an airport isn't really handled with care.
If you go to an event that has event security, ask them for better seats, but be really nice to them, they might bring you something special. I work at a hockey rink, we give nice people pucks, pin to let them go down to the front to see the players.
I'm 90% sure a company I worked for was importing product from China, repacking it and selling it as made in USA, i.e. blending it with the product we did make in the US.
I've worked at Petco and PetSmart and both are pretty terrible. I was a groomer, so I had things like benefits, but the amount of people who would try to hide injuries to a pet was shameful, including upper management. They are mostly groomers trained by Petco and PetSmart. If you want to mass-produce grooms by people who hardly care, then it's fine to go there. But in my experience, at least in a big city, they care less than other groomers. It's also lucky if you get half the services you paid for, and none of them work like they claim.
Work in IT. Everyone pretty much openly admitted our software was held together by the digital equivalent of duct tape and chicken wire.
We sometimes made up letters to the editor.
Buses due for MOT a certificate of roadworthiness in the UK would have their faulty parts switched out from a working part from another bus, then swapped back afterwards. Common practice. Also, I'm no germaphobe, but there's no way in beep I'd eat on public transport. They really aren't clean.
I worked in the seafood industry for many years. 2 things immediately come to mind. First, don't ever buy the pre-marinated cuts of fish that are sometimes for sale at the counter. Those are cuts that are about to turn bad, or already have, and the marinade is only there to mask the poor quality and smell. Second, more of just an FYI, but a lot of the fresh lobster meat you see is made up at least partly from dead and dying lobsters. Tanks and crates are checked daily, sometimes more frequently during the summer months, and the lobsters that croaked overnight are cooked and shucked for their meat. If you see a lot of straight tails, steer clear.
I used to work at the front desk of an hotel. More often than not, if we tell you we're fully booked when you try to make a reservation, we actually are. But sometimes it's just beat we make up because we got a bad vibe from you. We get blamed if we accept a booking from a person who then trashed the room, or was just all around annoying/rude to the staff. It's not all hotels I worked at that do this, but some do.
Thanks for watching. This has been an AutoGenLabs production. That means that this video was created by a robot out of content on Reddit. We show all account names and list them in the description to credit the Redditor community that makes our work possible. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. We post new videos every day. If you have any suggestions for videos you would like to see, please leave a comment. Our human department for public relations reads all of them, or won't be let out of their cages again. Goodbye.